What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing Champions League predictions. We're going to be predicting every game from the round of 16 of the Champions League. Obviously Chelsea are also playing in the Champions League. We'll get to that eventually. I'm just going to get into it with the predictions. Obviously we did the Premier League mid-season predictions. So here are all the games that are being played in the round of 16. Obviously Chelsea, Dortmund, PSG, Bayern, Milan, Tottenham, and I think it's Benfica. Bruges are being played this week, and then next week are the rest. Leipzig vs Man City. Now, obviously, I think Man City are much better than Leipzig overall. Leipzig have a few decent players. You know, they got Nkunku, they got Werner. I think they'll score a few goals, but I just think they don't have overall the team to beat Man City. But you never know. Man City have lost some funky Champions League games in the past few years, but I think overall City will beat them. Yeah, they have Guardiola in defense, and they have some good players. I don't see Leipzig beating City. I'm going to go Man City for this one. Next, we have Bruges vs Benfica. Obviously, Club Bruges had a pretty good group stage to make it through. I don't think anyone would have predicted they make it this far. They have a few decent players in there. Benfica had a very good group stage by their standards. They had PSG and Juventus in their group. Not that Juventus are that good, but they absolutely dominated PSG in one of the games. Obviously, they don't have Enzo Fernandez anymore, but I think overall they should beat Bruges, although I think it'll be closer than most people would say. I think Bruges may even win their home game, to be honest, or at least draw it. But Benfica are a very good team. No matter who they have, they always seem to be a good team. Liverpool beats Real Madrid. Probably the biggest name tie except PSG Bayern in here. I mean, it really depends. I think Liverpool are lucky they're not playing it this week and they're playing it next week, considering they've lost like 3 in a row or whatever it is. I don't know, man. Real Madrid aren't doing that well either at the moment. They've dropped behind Barcelona by quite a few points in the La Liga. I think they may throw all their eggs in this basket. Obviously, last year they did beat Liverpool in the final, so I don't know, man. I think Real Madrid will probably win it, judging on how Liverpool have been playing. I obviously don't know who's going to be back from injury for Liverpool, but I don't think they're all going to be back. It's also something that Ruben Diaz might be back for that game, but if he hasn't played any minutes before, that's going to be a bit of a sticky one. Defensively, they look shocking, so I see Real Madrid and Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, whoever they play, scoring quite a few goals against this Liverpool side. Although I don't think Liverpool will just get absolutely rolled over like they did against Wolves. But I think overall Real Madrid will probably win that. But I still think Liverpool could win it because obviously they've been so good over the past few years. AC Milan vs Tottenham. This one is probably the closest of all of them, I'd say. Like, I don't know who's going to win this. Obviously, we saw AC Milan face Chelsea earlier on in the season, and Chelsea kind of dominated them in both games. Tottenham, though, they don't have Lloris, so they're gonna have to use Fraser Forster in goal, which well, that's gonna be interesting. But I don't think Milan have their first choice goalkeeper. They're playing Tatarusanu in goal, so he's not very good either. Obviously, Olivier Giroud is a good striker, scores some goals. Rafael Leao is going to rip whoever they have at right back. I don't care. Pedro Porro, obviously don't have Doherty anymore, but Pedro Porro, Emerson Royale is going to get absolutely destroyed. And I don't even rate Leao that highly, but they're going to be in a bit of trouble. Obviously, Tonali, good player for Milan. I don't know if Tomori's fit. I saw that he didn't play at the weekend because I watched some of that Milan game. But if I'm going to have to predict one, I think Tottenham have a chance. You always have a chance when you got Harry Kane. Son's obviously not playing his best. Bentancur just got injured as well, to be fair. I just think Tottenham's defence is poor. It's just poor. I see AC Milan scoring a few goals. I see Olivier Giroud winning this tie for AC Milan. I'm not going to lie. But I still think Tottenham have a good chance to win it. I'm going to go with AC Milan, though. Frankfurt, Napoli. I think Napoli are clearly the favourite to win this. Clearly. I don't even think it's any conversation. Obviously, Frankfurt have a few decent players. They got Kolo Muani, obviously, he had a good World Cup. No one had heard of him before the World Cup. Don't lie, okay? But I just think Napoli are playing too well. They've got Osimhen and the left winger. I'm not going to try and say his name because I will butcher it. But those two scoring a lot of goals this season, and then the rest of the team just playing well. They've got a solid defence. I mean, they're just a really good team. I think Napoli will beat Frankfurt in this. Dortmund-Chelsea. I'm not going to talk too heavily on Dortmund-Chelsea, obviously, because I'm going to do a preview for that game tomorrow. So, yeah, watch out for that. But Dortmund, Chelsea, I think Chelsea, we've seen in the Champions League, those games benefit them more because teams don't necessarily sit back and play really defensive. Like we see Chelsea over it, even under Tuchel, under Lampard as well. When a team plays really deep, Chelsea struggles to break them down. But in the Champions League, teams don't necessarily try to do that, especially European teams, the bigger ones. So we saw when Chelsea won the Champions League, Porto didn't try and sit back. Even Atletico Madrid didn't really try and sit back that deep against us when we won it a few years ago. AC Milan didn't do that. So it's like, I don't think Dortmund will sit back and try and just hold on and then get a counter attack. Maybe at Stamford Bridge they'll try that, but at Dortmund, I think they'll try and play. They'll try and be the better team, and I think that plays into Chelsea's hands with counter attacks, and we can really exploit Mudryk and some of our other pacey players up front, we could really exploit that. And we've seen it over the past few years. These players excel more in the Champions League games, and especially when they're the ones who are like being pinned in. Because I think this Chelsea team are better at defending than they are going forward. And when there's a lot more space and a lot more time, which tends to happen against European teams, they're not as intense. They're not going to play like Fulham or West Ham did. So I think Chelsea have a good chance to win this. I'm going to go Chelsea in this one, obviously. I think Dortmund have a good chance, but they're not playing that well either. They have Jude Bellingham, obviously, but I don't really see too many really good players in the rest of their team. They've got Marlon, they've got a few, but I just think Chelsea will win this. I don't think Dortmund are as good as people are giving them credit for, to be fair. I think people are overrating them a little bit. But who knows, Dortmund could easily beat Chelsea the way they're playing. Inter Milan, Porto. Porto are always really good. Same as Benfica. Porto and Benfica always seem to know how to get a result in the tight games. We saw Porto beat Juventus a few years ago. I think if Inter Milan play like they should, they'll win. But that's easier said than done with Inter Milan. In the last few years, when I see them in Champions League, they're always losing. They made it this far. I think they got Lautaro Martinez. Can he score some goals? He wasn't good in the World Cup. Scored a good goal in that Italian Cup final, though. I mean, I think this Inter team has the potential to be good. But, Porto, they're also a good team. This one is a 50-50. I'm going to go Inter Milan just because I think they are better, but Porto could easily knock Inter Milan out. It wouldn't surprise me. And then the biggest one, Paris Saint-Germain vs Bayern Munich now. Obviously, PSG may not have Messi or Mbappe for the first leg. I know Mbappe is injured. I heard that Messi might be back for this game, but if he's not, then that's a bit of a sticky one. I don't think Bayern are as dominant as they usually are in Bundesliga, right? So they're actually in a title race for once. They're not like 20 points clear at this point. I think this will be a very good game. I just think PSG's front three is too focused around their team, to be honest. I think their midfield is not good enough. Their defense, I mean, they still have Marquinhos. Sergio Ramos is not good, obviously. I don't know if Kimpembe's back from injury yet. He obviously didn't go to the World Cup, so PSG vs Bayern Munich, it's going to be a good game. I just see Bayern Munich winning it if Mbappe and Messi aren't back, because even if they're injured, bro, you don't want to play them injured. And PSG, they just lost 3-1 to Monaco without them. Playing almost a skeleton team in that. Like, they're missing a lot of players. Bayern Munich obviously don't have a lethal striker, but they still got Mane, Sane, Gnabry, Kimmich. Like, they've got some really good players in there. Overall, I think Bayern Munich are going to win this one. So just to wrap up all my picks, I'm going Man City, Benfica, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Napoli, Chelsea, Inter Milan. Although I still feel like Porto are going to win now that I say that. But I'll go Inter Milan and then Bayern Munich. Obviously, we'll talk more about the Chelsea game tomorrow in the preview. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that. Let me know your picks for the Champions League. Who do you think is going to make it through to the next round? And I'll see you all in the next one.